Hello and good greetings to you. I have in front of me an acoustic guitar which absolutely exemplifies the notion of, sometimes your guitar is not worth a whole lot. Now, I'm always happy to be proven wrong because one of the things I don't interest myself in whatsoever is the monetary value of any guitar. That's your thing. But occasionally someone drops a guitar into me and they're like, is this worth doing up? And I'm like, I don't know. I pick up a guitar and I think, well, it's feather light. So either it's like made of some amazing material or maybe it's just made of not a whole lot material, which means it was cheap to produce. So this is a Harmony Sovereign, and I'm not going to Google it. You can do that. It's lasted through the ages somehow. I mean, I don't know what year it's from, but it can be oldish. I can tell that much. And it's kind of beat up. The frets are, they're small. They're short, which means won't necessarily be a nice playing action. What else can I tell you about it? It's had a busted headstock. You can see that there's a repair there. The neck actually is quite straight, but whatever angle it's at means the action is really high. It's very unpleasant to play overall. Now, something like this, I mean, can it be rejuvenated? Yeah, maybe, but it's not going to be cheap. So what we've opted between the owner and myself, what we've done is we just decided, you know what, just clean it up a little bit, make it a little bit shinier. And even still, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, it's just, there's nothing inspiring about this instrument in the slightest, to me anyway. It needs a full neck reset, I think. Either that or you could maybe use a bridge doctor here. If you're unfamiliar with a bridge doctor, it's something that you install underneath the bridge. It's like a dowel and a wood block, and you screw it in from the top, and it presses against the end block, and it somehow magically, lowers the soundboard, the top, if you will, thus lowering the action just a little bit. I've used them in the past. I found them to be, the difference is really slight, unless I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. I've done about 3 of them, and I'm like, I don't really know if this is doing it for me. So generally, when it comes to acoustics, I just say, either do it in the saddle, or do it in the neck. Don't do a neck reset unless give it to somebody else. I don't do neck resets. I've never attempted one, but it's going to be expensive. If you look them up, I think there was one lady in America somewhere, and she charges about $600. So do the math on that, and you ask yourself, is it worth it? Never ask me if it's worth it, because that puts me on the hook. So what's my plan with this guitar? It's so uninspiring. I don't know what to do with it. Well, that was what I first thought. There's a couple things I'm going to do with it. I am basically just going to, I think I'm just going to steel wool the frets, basically. I don't know if it's worth leveling them and recrowning them. I may end up doing it anyway, just because I want it to look nice. But ultimately, this is not going to be a nice guitar when I'm finished with it. And I told the owner that, and the owner's okay with it. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the treble E just a little bit. The nut slot is such that the string was almost hanging off the edge. So I'm going to move that in just a little bit by refilling the slot and then sticking a new one in. I'm going to try to get a little bit of height off the saddle. Now, this is one of these saddles that is it's height adjustable, which I like, but I think it's already maxed down. So I'm going to have to lift it out and take even more material off the top of it. The trouble with doing that is you get the string down so low that you don't get enough break angle behind it. And this string just kind of skates, without any downward pressure, the string will just skate along the top of the saddle, and it'll sound raspy and just unpleasant. And I gave the owner, the option of, like, you can take this away and get a second opinion. Maybe, I know people that could probably rebuild this and might actually enjoy it because it's worth something to them. To me, if you were to ask my actual opinion, my opinion of this thing is it's firewood. It's garbage. Don't invest in it. Always get a second opinion. Of course, that's me. Maybe I'm a little bit cynical, but generally speaking, with this type of thing, if it's there's a point of no return, in my opinion. Take it to someone else, get a different opinion, but I don't know what I'm gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do, but I don't know what the end result is going to mean for the owner. They're going to pay me some money to basically tidy it up and just make it look a little nicer, because I'm not going to start learning how to do neck resets right now. No. If this were another guitar with more bridge material, I would route off, chisel off, plane off some material on the actual bridge to get some back angle down. But it's even still, this is one of those saddles that has, a metal holder for it. It's just, this is not a good candidate for doing full works, if you ask me, in this workshop anyway. So I do get the odd acoustic where I'm just looking at it going, really? And I tried to get the customer to think about it and to maybe get a second opinion. I implore them to get it, to take it somewhere else, but they ask me to do what I can do with it, and sometimes I'm just like, what do you want? I can't. So yeah, every so often I do get something in where I'm like, this is not going to end well, but I gotta try, right? So yeah, moral of the story, occasionally your guitar, in my opinion, is absolute garbage, but I don't like telling you that. I like to do it passive aggressively through videos. I'm sanding. So I've got the whole saddle bit out, and you can see it's this sort of bone-ish saddle material. I'm not sure it's bone. I think it's some sort of plasticky stuff, and it's set within a brass holder. I've labeled which is the bass side, because as I sand down, the notches in the saddle are going down, so I want to remember that. Now I was able to, let me bring you up here. I was able to. It sounds a little bit ghetto, but I've got this screwdriver that I've basically kind of filed into a bit of a chisel, so it's really, really narrow. And I was able to get in underneath this brass holder here. And it looks like there was a buildup of glue. I don't know if it was super glue or something like that, but a little bit of chiseling here and that meant that I could actually get that a little bit deeper. And I want that to go as deep as it possibly can, because I've got these little adjustment screws that, that means I can always raise it if I really want to. So with these sorts of things, yeah, it's nice that it can go lower than you need. It's also nice to go higher than you can need, just so you can find a middle ground that's going to work for you. I don't think I'm going to find great action with this guitar, but at least lowering it means I've tried, I've done what I can, and a little goes a long way. Remember, what may not look like much to the eye feels like a big difference to the fingers. So anything I can do at this point with this particular guitar to lower the action is kind of a win. So I'll just continue on with this for a while and check in with you soon. So naturally, I've decided to punish myself by, investing more time into this. I just want to see roughly what the frets are like, how they look when I try to level them. And here I've got my trusty leveling beam with some sticky back sandpaper. And as I go along here, I can tell right away this fret here, well, I've already marked it, but this is really, really high. Not that it's going to make much of a difference to the overall playing, but because I'm here, because I just can't fucking stop myself, I want to take a little bit of height off there. And yeah, you're right, I haven't masked off the fingerboard. Oh my God, what a crime. What, he's going to hell for this, but I'm good. I'm careful. Oh my God. And yeah, that's probably going to take a little bit more than that, but I've got my trusty fret rocker there, and that's made a little difference. Not that I expect anything to happen, up here, because it's not going to be nice, but you never know. The biggest concern I have are the first fret. The first fret is practically junk, and I just don't want to be refretting. I just don't, because it's too much of an investment in this guitar, I think. So I'm just gonna get the worst of it out. Oh God, I'll come back to that, I guess. But yeah, it's just, I am going to do a little bit with the frets. I'm going to round them over because they have been flattened by so many years of play. this guitar's had a kind of a hard life, a busted headstock. Over around here, there's been a body repair. So already, if this was ever worth anything, I don't think it's worth much now. It is an old banger. So I think I'm right. I think I'm justified in my holy war of attrition, me and this thing. I'm just gonna try to do what I can. Actually, one thing amazes me about this guitar. I have this little trick that I like to do using my fingernail, and I just drag it along the top of the frets, and I listen to see what kind of noise they make. And some of them have a slightly higher pitched sound to them. You're not going to be able to pick it up necessarily on the phone here, but there's one here that sounds a little high. Sounds like it's a little empty. And by that I mean maybe there's a little air cavity in there, which means it's either loose or it's popped up over time. And it doesn't appear to be loose. None of them, wait, no, maybe that one's a little loose. Yeah, that one definitely is a little loose. But I'm amazed how few of them seem to be loose. So that's one thing this guitar has got going for it, is that the fret job isn't too bad. But yeah, the first and second frets are almost garbage, and I am really kind of struggling with myself. Do I replace them? Do I just let them go because there's little notches in there? And I'm not going to level them out. If I do level them out, there's going to be almost nothing left of the fret, and it'll just feel horrible to play. Whereas the other ones have a lot more height relative. They're not very high anyway, but they're relatively higher than those. So I'm having an existential crisis. Yes, I fucking hate myself because I just can't help myself. I'm replacing 2 frets, number 1, number 2. And I did find a few more loose frets. Really, really subtle, but I think, well, you've got it here while the patient is on the table. Get it all out of the way now before it becomes a problem again later, even though I said it's not worth saving. And this is what I do. I say something, I say, yeah, no, blase, and then I get into it, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I do care. Fuck. Anyway, yeah, going all right. So how do you go about fixing a loose fret? Well, I can tell you how I do it. I'm not going to clamp it in. It's not like it's risen up or anything like that. Just find the loose fret. You can, once you've leveled them, there's like a square top. So when they move a little bit, they reflect the light a lot easier. Well, I mean, any movement in them reflects the light a lot easier, so you can tell if they are actually loose. And it is ever so slightly loose. That one there, that was number 12. I think if I really put my eye to it, yeah, I can find them all kind of loose. So I think these are the last 2. I'm just going to show you how I do it. A little bit of runny super glue right in there. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 at a time if I can. And you'll see there's a little, well, you might see, sort of puddles up, and then it kind of just wicks into the slot, or falls into the slot, whichever. It finds its way along the bottom of the fret, and then just rub it off with a little bit of paper towel, and it's going to leave a little bit of evidence of its existence. But what we do is we take some, ideally what you want is acetone, but if you can't find pure acetone, just get some nail polish remover with acetone in it, and work away, work away, work away. You will get it off. There are going to be other ways of doing this. You know, the experts watching this will be going, oh my God, I can't believe he does it that way. That's so wrong. But you know what? At the end, the results are absolutely fine. You know, you don't see the glue, and it's just a quick and easy way of doing it. So now I've got to go and level these. I have to file the shit out of these top 2 because they are brand new and visibly taller than the rest. So yeah. I've got my work cut out for me here in getting all the glue off the fingerboard. But it's better than having loose frets because loose frets just sound shitty. So, you know, why would you want that? I am charged, I'm taxed, I've been retained, you know, my services here are to make this thing better. I said I was going to make it better. Oh, look at that. It's starting to peel off with my fingers. That is satisfying. That's really satisfying. Sweet Jesus. So I've got the first 2 frets replaced, filed the absolute shit out of the tops of them to get them down to level with the rest. And of course, there's like almost no fret left, and it makes you wonder, like, oh, why not do the whole refret? No, we're not going that far. Look, I hate myself enough. The fact that I've gone this far. Oh, look at me, I'm overlapping. So right now I am crowning the files. Crowning the files? I'm crowning the frets using a file. This is a special file. It's like a variation of StewMac Z file. No, it is the Z file, but it's like a V notch sort of a thing. Anyway, I'm getting to the point where I've got to the body and I can't go across it so readily, and I've just got rid of some tape there. So I'm gonna have to work a little bit more daintily, and I can't give away my trade secrets. I can't. That's like the equivalent of me dancing around in my undies. And then there's the sanding. Endless sanding. With so many grades, it'll make your head spin. So many different type of abrasive. You're gonna puke. So many different sandpapers and rubber type things. Rubber things with some sort of abrasive thing impregnated into the rubber thing. Oh yes, all of these things contributing to an ever shinier pass. Every time you go across these things, you must make it shinier to the point where it can shine no more until you get to the steel wool and it gets ever more shiny. So shiny you want to be sick into your own face. It's so shiny. We're getting close to the end. We are getting close. It's the light at the end of the tunnel. And then you get to the final pass where you can sort of breathe. It's going to be none more shiny after this. You can't get it any shinier. And all my life has been spent. All my force of living has gone into this one shining moment. And last, following another pass with my nail polish remover, just to get the last bits of glue off. Here we go. That is shiny. And now it doesn't look new because the wood has been so divoted, gouged out a little bit through years of wear. You got some little fingertip thingies in there. But yeah, I'm gonna leave that. I'm not gonna fill in the wood. Screw that. I'm not trying to make the whole thing new looking. I'm just trying to get the most that I can out of it. So we're kind of out of the woods really. We're approaching the last stretch, the final stretch. Got to get the nut back in there. Now I'm crossing my fingers, hoping that I don't need to shim the nut because I think I got my first two frets at the same height as everything else. So let's find out. Let's not forget to do this. Oh yeah. Years of candy wrappers and dandelions. It was like a magical land in there. So next up is to string this beast and just see what we've actually achieved today. I hate these tuners. I hate them so much. I'm just not being very chill about it. They're so short that there's just not enough post to get some nice winds around it without them crowding and bunching up. So it's just gonna be what they are. In case you're wondering what this is, it's just a pickup placed over there. It's got some very, very crude little buffers on there. So it means I can rest it above the strings and use an electronic tuner. Oh, I hate the creaking. Right, for the moment of truth. The nut is glued back in. It's drying. I use Gorilla Glue, and it usually expands out by now if there's too much of it. So I think I got just the right amount. A couple of new frets, fret leveling, took down the saddle a little bit, restrung it, just basically made it look a lot nicer. Now, how does it play? Like dog shit, just like I thought it would. Despite all the efforts. I'm not disappointed because this has turned out pretty much how I thought it was going to turn out. There was no way I was going to do a ton of work at the bridge end of things. I just did a little bit, see what we could achieve. Didn't achieve much, but I think, aesthetically important, the thing doesn't look like a pile of dog crap. And it's not too bad, really. It's a fireside guitar, and you need, you know, a little bit of strength. But it sounds like an acoustic guitar, looks like an acoustic guitar, and it looks like somebody's actually cared about it for once in a long time in its life. It's been banged up, it's been used. I guess someone got a lot of use out of it because, you know, judging by what the condition of the frets. But let this be a lesson to you. When you take your old ass guitar to a guitar tech, and he's like, or she, sorry, and they're like, that's the sign. That's the sign for you to back away and go ask someone else. And if they say the same thing, at least you know what you're getting into. I offered the customer at this point, I offered the customer of this guitar, you know, a chance to take it away. We had a long chat. I said, you know, go for a second opinion, go get someone else, and take, you know, don't take my word for it. I think all I'm going to be able to achieve is just tidy it up a little bit, and I did that. I wish that, you know, that it could have been a little bit of a different story here, and, you know, in theory it could if I really hustled, but at the end of the day, I don't think I was going to make a great deal of difference. It's still a not very good guitar, and that's what I said I was going to deliver. So I was open and honest about it. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just it. So, you know, when you have a guitar at home that looks, you're like, maybe I could fix it up. Be realistic. This is going to end up costing, what, 3 hours labor, some strings, a little bit of fret wire, in the 80 quid department. The year is 2023 now. 80 quid doesn't go a whole lot, doesn't go a whole long way, but it gives you a rough idea of what you're going to spend on a guitar that is just not going to be very good when you get it back. You know, if you spend another 100 quid on it, maybe you could get the neck reset. I don't know how much people charge for that. Whatever. But yeah, that's the story with this one. And the customer knew that too. They knew that, you know, what it really needed was a neck reset, and I wasn't going to do it, but they're adamant, you know, I'm gonna do it. So there you go. Mission accomplished. I did move the treble E inward just a little bit, little tiny bit. And yeah, it's not hanging off the edge anymore. And it sounds like a guitar, it looks like a guitar, and, you know, for a fireside sing song, it's gonna do fine. So there you go.